This is crazy. Elon Musk is trying to replace truck drivers with this semi-truck, so here's how I'm preparing for it. If you haven't heard already, Tesla just announced production of a self-driving semi-truck, and they promised to deliver the first 100 trucks to Pepsi by the end of the year. That means truckers might just be a few months away from possibly being replaced by a semi-truck. Well, probably not. Here's why. The whole reason self-driving semi-trucks are being made in the first place is in response to a shortage of CDL drivers. According to the ATA, the trucking industry has a shortage of 80,000 drivers right now, and it could get as bad as 160,000 by the end of the decade. But that's not all. Another huge problem that carriers have right now is driver retention, or in other words, how long a new driver sticks around before leaving or getting fired. If you're new to trucking, you might be thinking, oh, it can't be that bad. Well, let me just show you. According to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, the industries with the highest turnover rate are retail at 65%, hospitality at 85%, and food services at 86%. In the trucking industry, however, the turnover rate is at 91%. That means if a trucking company hires 100 drivers in January, 91 of them will leave before New Year's Eve. Think of how bad the work conditions have to be for 91 out of your 100 employees to leave every year. The pay is really low, you're away from home for months at a time, the drivers on the road hate you, and worst of all, you're living out of a space that would make New York City apartments feel big. So obviously, because of all these problems in trucking, the edgelord himself has come up with a brilliant plan to fix the working conditions of truckers and make trucking the ticket to the middle class again, right? No, of course not. His solution to the driver shortage problem is to just get rid of all the drivers, and he plans to do this very soon. But here's the problem. Tesla won't be the first company to put out a self-driving semi-truck on the road. In fact, there's already one on the market right now, and it's driven over 300,000 loaded miles. The company that's already doing this is called TuSimple, and they launched their first autonomous truck about a year ago in 2021. I have to give them credit for being pioneers in this space and actually showing the world what is possible. That being said, this truck is not really autonomous. I mean, yeah, it has features that allows it to drive itself, but it's not like there's no one behind the wheel. In fact, the craziest part is, this self-driving semi-truck doesn't only need a driver, it needs a safety engineer in the cockpit too. The tech geniuses of Silicon Valley tried to take out one person from the driver's seat and ended up putting two in instead. Obviously, I'm being a little facetious, but let's take an honest look at this truck. So here's a map of TuSimple's routes according to their own company website. And it's pretty obvious what's going on here. It seems like they're only operating in the part of the US that has warm weather and steady terrain. And it seems like all the truckers that say these trucks won't last long in cold weather might be onto something. But hold on, Tesla has a lot more money and manpower than TuSimple, so their truck must be a lot better too. Well, let's just take a look at the three most important factors of any semi-truck: the range, the durability, and the cost. Let's start with the range. So, according to Tesla, their semi will drive 300 to 500 miles fully loaded, which doesn't seem too bad. However, a diesel semi-truck can cover anywhere from 1,100 to 1,300 miles on a full tank. So in comparison, the Tesla semi can cover about a third of what the semi-trucks today can. Tesla also claims that their semi can get up to 70% charge in 30 minutes, which again, sounds really good, but a diesel truck can fill up 100% of its fuel in 5 minutes. So you can not only drive much farther with a diesel truck, but it also takes less time to fuel. When it comes to range, diesel trucks clearly win there, and Tesla themselves would admit this, but where Tesla has a clear advantage is cost. I think it's fair to say that equipment and fuel costs play a huge factor in what truck owner-operators or carriers end up buying, and that's where the Tesla Semi shows insane promise. Let's just start off by talking about the price of equipment. So the Tesla Semi will come in two models, the 300-mile model and the 500-mile model. Tesla hasn't officially released how much they're going to charge for each model, but based on their past statements, they're probably going to charge somewhere around $150,000 for the 300-mile model and $180,000 for the 500-mile model. Now, if we compare that to the cost of a diesel truck, a brand new truck will cost you about $120,000, which is obviously cheaper than both models of the Tesla Semi. However, The fuel costs on a diesel truck are insane. It costs truckers about $45,000 to $55,000 per year in just diesel, whereas a Tesla Semi that runs on batteries would cost less than $10,000 per year. You'll save 80% just on fuel, and we haven't even started talking about repairs, maintenance, tires, etc. Speaking of which, the last key factor that truckers look at when buying a truck is the durability, or in other words, how often the truck will break down and how easy it is to find parts or get it repaired. Now, diesel trucks have been around for ages, so finding parts or a mechanic is incredibly easy. That being said, even if you buy a brand new truck, you'll have to set aside $10,000 to $15,000 per year just for maintenance. For a Tesla Semi, finding parts or getting it repaired will be really difficult, but most electrical and software problems could just be fixed through the click of a button. It would be as easy as updating your iPhone as soon as a new software update comes out. If you don't believe me, just know that Tesla is already doing this with their cars. Also, since an electric truck has less moving parts than a mechanical truck, it's not going to break down as often, or at least that's the hope. Here's the brutal truth that I think all truckers need to hear. These new self-driving electric trucks are actually good trucks. However, that doesn't mean they're good enough to completely replace truck drivers in the next few months, years, and maybe even decades. The only people that I see online trying to scare truckers into thinking their jobs are at risk are people that have no experience driving and have no understanding of how complex trucking really is. Any moron can drive on a highway. We've all seen them. But it takes a highly skilled individual to maneuver 80,000 pounds through tight, beaten down roads and back up into slanted docks. Obviously, these trucks are only going to get better in the future, but in my opinion, they're not going to replace truck drivers anytime soon. If you're still worried you might lose your job, there's no better time to learn a new skill like dispatching for free, and you can do that by watching this video right here, where I show you how I book my loads and negotiate rates with brokers. By the end of that video, you'll be consistently booking loads for $3 per mile. With that being said, thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.